He's here to share insights on how to develop a winning business strategy. Please welcome Aaron Mandelbaum.
Hello. Such a
Thanks for
joy to
joining
be
me.
here.
I'd say it's a pleasure. I have a lot of fun on the podcast. I was just speaking to an owner of a dental clinic just moments before ours started.
Okay.
And I've been drinking coffee and my teeth have gone a little bit coffee stained, and she had these beautiful big pearly white teeth, and here I am trying to cover my teeth because I'm so competitive
Well, that's her
that I
that's
said
her
rather
business
than
card, right? She's
I
walking
said,
around with bright teeth.
big teeth. I said at the end of the show, I said, now I'm going to have to get my teeth done because I feel you've beaten me.
Oh gosh. That's great. I love that. Oh,
It's
so good.
an interesting world that we live in, and I know a lot of people around the world at the moment are experiencing a bit of an energy crisis. We had a couple of energy outages here in Taiwan. I don't know if it was directly related to a shortage of energy, but it cut out first time in 14 years. And so
Wow.
people are a little bit tense in this part of the world. What's the feeling in your part of the world at the moment?
Oof. We've got a lot of reasons to be tense. I'm right outside New York City. Um, so we've New York City, for as many millions of people as we have here, does feel like a neighborhood, and people are great about reaching out to each other and supporting each other and banding together. And we just had a blizzard not too long ago, and it was great. People were out shoveling together, snowmen everywhere, snowboarding through the park and skiing through Times Square, and like it's got this community vibe, which is really nice. um, but we're gonna see what happens with energy this summer. Like, if it gets it's really when it gets really hot, that's when things get wonky. um, Winter seems to be okay, but the summer is a whole thing. In fact, my
Mm,
my stepbrother used to work for this company. Their whole business model was um, finding energy solutions for warehouses mostly, and large places like hospitals and schools and things like that. And for warehouses and factories, they would do the analysis to say, it's gonna cost you more money to cool this building to a place where the workers can survive than it would be to lose your business for the day. Like, based on the temperature, you'll save money by not doing any work today, just because it costs so much money to cool the building or something like that.
mm,
And it's amazing analysis that happens. And that's all way before massive AI data centers and any other type of data center. We've got states. The first state in the U.S. just passed a law to prohibit new data centers being built. We were getting stories of people refusing tens of millions of dollars to sell their farm to build data centers. So it's really interesting. It's almost like data centers are going to be the new like oil frontier of trying to find some
mm.
places to tap and do oil drilling and fracking and things like that. And the energy, I don't know where that's going to come from. They're starting to want to build new nuclear power plants just for data centers alone. So
Mm.
it's a big one. It's going to be interesting.
It's fascinating that you say summertime is more of a challenge, because if we look at the other side of the globe, especially around the United Kingdom, they have a lot of seasonal effectiveness disorder, but it's
Yes.
from the colder months. So it's
Yeah.
the opposite. It's a different environment impacting the personality. And I
So
never
yeah, I
understood that.
was that was just like the actual electricity of keeping buildings cool. The
Mm,
But the seasonal effective is huge. And it's interesting. I've lived on like the far eastern side of one time zone and the far western side of the same time zone. It's a whole different world throughout the year. And
mm,
personally, what works for me is waking up early in the morning in the winter, getting as much light as I can, listening to happy music, like getting moving, getting out, getting about. Um, that works for me for sure. But any further north than where I am on the planet, I visited Alaska and Amsterdam in the winter, and even further north, Iceland and stuff like that. And it takes something to be
mm.
in that much dark.
takes your soul away. I went to the United Kingdom and I got there and they talked about this gloomy, doomy type of weather. And I got there on New Year's Eve and it was party time. I went straight to the bars and was drinking and chasing tail. And then I was there for 6 months and I was like, okay, I get it. You wake up in the morning and it's wet and it's rainy and the sun's really not coming out till 8 or 9, but it's just this gray. It's gray. And then that sticks around and you look at people and you're like, yeah, it does impact your attitude. Your income might be stable. You might be bringing down your mortgage. You might have just found the love of your life, but this environment just eats away at the soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the summertime came and it was like having bipolar. It went from everybody's inside and there's no light to the sun's out and it's still bright at 11 or 12 o'clock at night. The sun's coming up at 4 o'clock in the morning and people are in the pub, in the garden till almost midnight drinking. And you're like, this is the best place in the world. But they would call 25 degrees a heat wave. Yes. And that would last for one day.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I lived up in Maine and like the far north of the US, and not the furthest north place, but far east too. So it would get dark at 2, 3 p.m. in the winter and bitter cold. By the time it hit, 10, 15 degrees, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, people are out sunbathing in shorts and t-shirts, and finally the sun is back and it's a whole different vibe. And like you said, there's like the pub culture in the UK and everyone's out and about and enjoying that and enjoying the camaraderie. I was in Amsterdam for a month in February a couple of years ago, and there's dance parties like 8 times a week. There's all sorts of different events. Like people are out and about and doing that. And I was like, I asked somebody, I said, I can't believe how much, how big this scene is here for not like clubbing and, getting drunk, but like out and dancing and stuff. And they said, yeah, we need it. It's dark. We need people. We need to be with people. We need that energy of life force and connecting with people and moving and shaking and all that. And it's good medicine.
I've been to New York City in the summer and the winter. I've been there in the winter where it's knee deep in snow and it's freezing from the ground up. Like it gets in the balls of your feet and it gets into your ankles, it gets into your knees, it gets into your hip, and then your lower back, and you're walking around the city and it feels like you're like a jackhammer, and every time your foot hits the ground, the shock comes back up the body.
100%.
And I was so stiff and it was freezing cold. And then I've been there in the summer, in the June and July, and it's the total opposite. The beads of sweat are dripping all the way down my back into my bum crack. Looks like I've wet my pants, and I'm just saturated and humid.
Yeah.
And it's a different world. The vibe is so totally different world. Different.
And the city structure itself in the winter, these long avenues are like wind tunnels. So you walk around a corner and you get hit by all this sideways snow. And then in the summer, you got all these windows reflecting sunlight back down on you, and then the heat coming up from the ground, from the subway underneath, and all the pipes and everything else. And it's like, you can't escape it. It's an adventure. It's really like that. They say it, if you can live there, you can live anywhere,
right? I spent a little bit of time up, or maybe down, in North Carolina, and in around Raleigh, and it was 40 degrees most of the day. So you kind of wake up in the morning, it's like 35 degrees Celsius, gets to about 40 degrees every afternoon. At must have been like 3 or 4 o'clock. It was almost predictable. There'd be a big thunderclap and a lightning strike, and the rain would pour down, and everything would steam up.
Yep.
And we're on these big lakes. And then they said to us that in wintertime, all of that was frozen over. It went from having these lakes that were like a hot bath to virtually being able to ski on them, ice skate on them.
we've got a little bit of everything here. If you don't like the weather, drive a couple hours, or sometimes they say just wait 10 minutes and you'll get something else.
Mm. A little bit different to Taiwan. In the north of the island where I live, we have 4 seasons, but you go to the southern part of the island. So if I just go 150 miles from here south, it's flat and it's very dry. And you go through these long plains, and then you get down to the southern part, and it's always 30 degrees. And there's just kind of 2 seasons, hot and dry or hot and wet, but it's always 30 degrees. And you don't have to go too far. So the people in the north complain about the south complains about the north, and then the people in the middle don't know any different. But it's a totally different world. We get a little bit of winter snap here, so it gets down to say 10 degrees Celsius, but because the humidity is high,
yeah,
I would say that's comparable to -5 in Korea. So if I go into Korea, -5 and 10 degrees here is the same to me, but they're dry to the point
that
where
humidity kicks it up a notch.
Yeah, your nose gets blood boogers in there because it's so dry in Korea.
Yep.
Where here we sweat in winter.
Drinking coconuts all day, hoping to get some electrolytes and some internal balance.
Gotta do it. We said before that you generated $60 million in unexpected revenue for your clients. I read that and I went, yes, please. My birthday's coming up. Surprise me. What? How did you do that?
It's been, that this wasn't just, overnight type of thing. And it's a fun one to track, can be a skeptical thing, but it's also how what we like to be able to say we did, to justify that we did this. So I say we because I come in and out with different teams based on what's needed and things like that. A quick note on that is like I've spent a lot of time in places where they were selling the hot new thing and it just felt icky. And especially, this was like social media back when it was the Wild West and like 2008. And everybody wanted like 1 million Facebook fans. And it's like there's people who will sell you that. And you make parts for machines that make parts for machines that make lawnmowers. I'm not following you on Facebook. Like, stop trying to crush that metric. So a lot of this was early SEO, starting to do work in what that was, but also conversion optimization and email back in those days. Email, conversion optimization, and we were at the start of influencer marketing. And that word wasn't really thrown around the way it is now. It certainly wasn't a job title anybody went out to try to be, or hoping that they could become while they were in high school. We were making landing pages with assets about a new product or a book or a movie or something, and reaching out to bloggers like, hey, we like what you're doing. We love that this article in particular told us a little bit about what you're into. We think your readers would be interested in this promotion. Like, here's all the assets you need, everything you could ever want to like make an amazing post, which they loved because they were, trying to come up with content all the time. And we could track every click on that. Everything was pixeled. We could track every click, every link, every purchase made from those efforts. And then those influencers were like, cool, what else do you got? And it built up this whole database of like, what could we be doing? And as we were doing this, like, we're doing sentiment analysis, something I'm still doing, like finding out what people are saying about your brand, what percent is positive, neutral, negative, what aren't they saying? And then I can come back to a company with strategic recommendations like, hey, here's a list of all the people who would have purchased from you if your shipping rates were better. And let's test some different shipping models. And they were so nervous about giving free shipping or whatever because it was so expensive to ship their product. But when I showed them how many people would have made a purchase, they tested it. They had so many new orders, they were able to negotiate a better shipping rate. And so they had more orders. And then they had more margin from their better shipping rate. So, they all kind of bounce onto each other. One of the biggest things was conversion optimization, finding out how to make a smooth form, a smooth checkout process, and minimal upselling, like upselling downline, but people were trying to cram your cart with all these extra
Mm.
things, and people couldn't understand why they weren't getting sales. They were getting traffic and they were getting some looks, but that conversion optimization can do wonders. And what it really comes down to is like listening to the audience, listening through metrics, listening through the analytics, and helping give them what they want. Um, so I spent a lot of time digitizing very analog executives for a long time, and they're grateful for it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So many things that are going off in my mind at the moment.
Mm,
And the first one is these million followers. I got sucked in, and there was a coach in my space, and
mhm,
he was doing all the things that I wanted to do. He had the followers, he was doing events, he was
mhm.
speaking on stage, and he'd built a big profile on Facebook. And I was envious. I was like, how can you have that and I can't? And I'd listen to his stuff and I'd think, your stuff's not all that good.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, I can do it better than you, but you're so far ahead of me. Well, if you're getting the result, I better come to your training. And so I went through his funnel, purchased his $30,000 mastermind, and then got to the event and there was 7 people there. And I was like, this kind of doesn't make sense. You've got 1 million followers. You're telling me that you've got all these thousands of people coming to your event all the time, and that this is a mastermind, and all the reframing, all the spin about blah, blah, blah. And I went to the event, and the first day at the event, I was like, this guy knows nothing. The content was so average.
Mm,
And then I thought, I should have a look at these Facebook numbers. So I look at it, there's 1 million followers. Then I start to have a look at the comments, and I
mm.
scroll a couple of pages and a couple of pages, and I was like, it's just copy and paste, repeat. And there's all these names, and these names I can't even pronounce. They shouldn't be following this person.
Yep.
And this is ticking over in my mind. And then I'm applying the strategies and it's not working for me.
Mm.
And then I realized it was all bot farms. And
Yeah.
so I was about 15,000 into my $30,000 mastermind, and I quickly pulled the pin. And I realized that it was all bullshit. Yes, there were 7 people there. I dropped out first and everybody dropped out after me. There was 0
Yep.
at the end of it. But it was all
Oh,
bullshit.
this is a
And it was
thing.
frustrating because I didn't know it at the start, and I didn't understand what bot farming was, and that you could
Yeah.
pay for all these likes and it wasn't organic.
Yep.
And it left a very bad taste in my mouth. And I thought to myself, that's not what I want. That's not what I need. I just need one customer who really likes what I do, hires me, and we can work together for a decade. I don't need 1,000 people
Yeah.
leaving comments. I just need one good person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's it. It's I mean, customers is everything. You could have the fanciest, newest thing, but if you don't have the customer, and the right customer is worth waiting for.
Mm.
It's like dating, right? It's hire slow, fire fast if you're choosing, and like know who's an ideal customer and figure that out, and let them make it easy for them to say yes, and um, find those right people. Now there's all these things like some the bot farming is real and is big and is happening, um, and it is the new thing is like everyone can be an expert. Everyone can get their photo shoot on vacation and look like they're having this amazing experience, right? There's a lot of experts and gurus and ninjas and whatever they're calling themselves, and they're playing on heartstrings. I find there's a lot of people who are prostituting their vulnerability and sharing their life story in a way that is
Toxic
hopefully going to connect. Like,
vulnerability.
yeah, like I've felt that too. You can help me, and
Mm.
behind the scenes, there's not a whole lot going on,
Mm.
and it's sad. So it's you know like we were talking about earlier. before we hit record, like referrals and the people who show up, like they just know you, they trust you from something else. Um, they feel like they can, like, whatever this person's got, I feel like I know them, I get them, I understand their thinking, I've been in their head, I've heard them speak, I know who they are on a human level. And yeah, they got some skills to back it up. That's great. Like, can we work together? Because it all comes back down to, like, can we work together and communication and being human together. It's like, I know I'm not the right person for everybody. I'll give you a referral to someone else if I think I got someone better for you. But let's give it a shot and let's play with it. That's something that I love about marketing too, is and business strategy. It's like there's no right answers. There's just current best practices. And more than anything else, I'm listening and helping people be nimble.
Mm.
Um,
I know something that I've learned about I don't like the word high ticket clients, but I think
sure.
most people get it, the ones who pay me the most. One thing I know about them is they buy through referral.
Yeah.
It's always a
Trusted
referral.
networks, trusted
This is my friend
recommendations.
Daniel. We've been working together for 7 years. He's taken good care of me.
Yep.
Whatever you tell him will remain confidential. We trust him. You can trust him. And those clients are referred. They come through every now and then,
Yep.
but when they come through, they stay.
Yeah.
And I know
100%.
that for me, I'm not talking about for everybody else, but for me, that's how they buy me.
Yep.
I have tried many other things like funnels, but these particular people never go through that type of funnel, like a click funnel type thing. It's not what they do. It's not how they buy.
Yeah.
And that's been frustrating for me because I've put a lot of effort and resource into that. But it also did help me figure out that that's not how my particular customer buys.
Yeah.
I've got other customers who do that, but they don't want the other type of consulting.
Yeah. It's, I mean, preaching to the choir. I hate sales. I hate selling. I and if you put a nickel in me and I start talking about something I'm passionate about, I can't hide it, and that's what
Mm,
sells.
mm.
It's the same as recommending a movie or a restaurant. Like if someone says like, "Yeah, come in, we've got a half price fries," like, what? No, no thanks. And
Are they
someone's like,
cold?
if someone who you care about is like, I found the most amazing restaurant, I had the most amazing experience, it was so fantastic. Like, I don't even know what kind of food they sell, and I'm in already. Like, I want to go. I want that experience. And that always is always what it is it's the person, it's a referral from a trusted. I mean, think about how you found a mechanic or a doctor or a anything. It's like people you trust. It's like people do more research for a blender than they do for their like cardiologist. It's like, oh,
Mm,
this one's cool.
mm.
So it's amazing.
With selling in my particular business, it's a consultative approach.
Sure.
And my clients who buy, they need to speak to me 2 or 3 times
Yep.
before they're ready to buy.
Yep.
Just because I'm ready to sell doesn't mean they're ready to buy.
Yep.
And I've learned that I have to take a consultative approach. And a consultant asks some really good questions and
Yes.
it causes people to think. And they might not have the answer today. They sometimes have to go away and think it through, which they genuinely do. And once
Yep.
they find the answer, they decide that they want to buy.
Yes.
And when I follow that approach, I don't get dropouts. Nothing's ever over promised. It's
Mm-hmm.
just this is what we need. And we figure out a way to get it together. But it's got to be
Yes.
together. It's not you and me. It's us. It's we. It's our project.
Yeah.
And so the first call for me is just getting to know one another. I'll ask some questions, understand their situation. That's the examination. The second call is the diagnostic. And what I've found is my clients have to go through a diagnostic and they've got to look at data. They have to get an unbiased perspective on this problem.
Yeah.
So on the second call, we say, this is the data, this is the science. You tell me.
Yeah.
what has to be improved. And then half of them will say, Daniel, how do we work together? The other party will say, Daniel, I need to go away and think about these things. And then the other 25% will come back on a third call and say, now I'm ready to go. And that third call could be a month, 3 or 6 or 12 months. But once they decide that they're ready to go, that's when the magic happens, because they have to want to change. They have to
Yeah.
want to improve. And
Because
it's
you
got to
know
be
what
on
it's
their
like with
terms.
a client who's not ready. It's just misery the whole time.
I've been in court because of that.
Oof.
I had 2 very upset clients who worked with my competitor, and they come to me and they told me all their problems with the competitor. And I thought, I'm going to fix these people up and get them going. And then 12 months later, they're dragging me through the court.
Yeah.
And I said, why are you suing me? They said, well, Daniel, you said we could get a refund on your program. And I said, yes, you wrote me a letter on the 364th day of the program demanding a total refund. And I asked you why you want a refund. And you said, because I could have any reason. I said, what's your reason? And they said, I'm going through a divorce and I need the money. I said, so it's not about the program. No, it's not about the program. It's I'm getting divorced and I need the money. Well, that's not the program guarantee about your marriage. They said, well, we're going to sue you. So they
Wow.
dragged me through the courts
Wow.
and tried to sue me. And their whole argument was Daniel said for any reason. And even the magistrate at the court said, this is absolutely ridiculous. This has nothing to do with this man. You're getting divorced.
Yeah.
Well, he said he's got a guarantee.
Wow. I mean, can't hurt to
But
ask, but that's ridiculous.
yeah, knowing what I now know, I should have taken a different approach. And when people like that show up in my business, I'm
Yeah.
the first one to say, I think you should go to my competitor. I've seen this type before. Go and ruin his life, not mine.
This is it. You know, just like dating too. You know, build a red flag list and a green flag list, and know who matches what, and feel into it. And you know, one of the other before podcasts were a thing, I spent a lot of time in a peer advisory group for executives, and I started just speaking in this. You know, it's an international network of non-competing CEOs meeting together, and it brings speakers in and then process business issues. And it's a great format. It's a great flow. It's super helpful, and I learned so much as a member, learning what not to do, and watching people go through these things. And it's like I've never even thought of that. And then I hear other people like I have gone through that, or they figure it out, and then I get to see what happened months later. And I get to help sometimes, like when this guy came in and said, you know, I'm thinking about hosting our own website. We're like, no, you don't do that. That's not a thing. From your little backroom office in New Jersey, that's on the same server as your all your everything. Like, no. And he did, and he got hacked within seconds. And um, we're like, we told you so. I don't know what else to tell you. But I was like, okay, I don't want to work for that guy. But everything from HR to legal to like all these different things, like yeah, you can learn a lot of this through podcasts now, and but having that network of people who know your business, who know what you're working at, who know what you're capable of, and know when you're being, you know, when you're blinding yourself or when you can do better, to like not even sometimes gently nudge you, but like with some penetrative like feedback of like, you deserve better, you can do better, why are you playing small, and you know, getting me off my butt and making things happen. um, Figuring out that red flag green flag list is great. And now, like you said, like those interviews, it's not like, can I convince you to hire me? It's more like, what don't I know to see if I want you as a client. I'm doing more of that than trying to sell. And sometimes in those processes, someone gets some insight. I asked them a bunch of questions, and I was like, you know what you really need is like, do these 5 things, read this book, you know, call me in 6 months. And they're like, oh, okay. And they call me in 6 months, like, wow, yeah, that was great. Like, this is what we did. This is how what we shifted. Cool. Now we can start talking about if I'm ready for you, because you weren't ready for me.
Timing is essential.
Yes.
I was an athlete and timing was essential. As a wakeboarder, you could try to launch too early, you could launch too late off the wake, and you'd wipe yourself out. And it's the same in business. It's like 100%. A combination lock. You got to put the numbers in the right order and sequence.
Exactly.
But if you're trying to do step 5, it's like in selling. I teach selling to people, and what we see in Hollywood and on podcast is hardcore closer. You need to have this close and that close. Closing should be the easiest thing.
Yeah.
Closing should be the last thing we do. Yeah. But people try to do it the first time. And one guy tried to close me once. He was pitching. Didn't ask me anything about me. Didn't ask what I wanted. It was just pitch. And he said, Daniel, I need to figure out where you are in my sales process. I thought, that's what he said to me. I need to figure out where you are. How convinced are you that we can work together? And I'm a real people pleaser. I'm a real people pleaser. And I said to him, well, I'm 99% there. And he was really excited. He said, well, what's the 1%? And I gave him a whole list of things, and all that enthusiasm just drained out of his face. He said, but you said we're at 99%. I said, yes, I am. And it always comes down to just 1 or 2 things. And here's my list.
Amazing.
And he was shocked.
I did this. So I was talking about the sentiment analysis, which is something I'm still doing, right? Like what percentage of conversation online is about you, and which is, I've started to push, to work on that more and more, because it's been important for people trying to get ranked by, LLMs and get into AI, the version of AI, SEO, GEO, we're calling it, right? But anyway, I had a client who said, like, we think our customers hate us, and they're in an interesting position. Like they're not for profit per se. They're a testing body. They create tests that someone has to take to get licensed for a certain position, for a career, so they can't convince people to become this. They've started this journey years ago. They can't help them pass the test because that's unethical, but they exist. And I pulled up their website, and then 10 competitors, not competitors, but like the test to go to college, the test to become a doctor, the test, all these other tests, CPA, all the things. And I searched for the word "you," just YOU, on the homepage, and they had it like 1 or 2 times. Their competitors, or these other testing bodies, had it like 15 and 20 times. And I said, look, you're not even talking about who you're talking to. You're talking about yourselves the whole time. And the full C-suite was there, and all their jaws hit the ground. They're like, oh my gosh, like this is it. And I said, I guarantee you, if we do this en masse and start looking around the internet, this is what they're going to tell us. So we did it as a quarterly report to find everything people were saying about them. And because we had the real data, and we can make some real shifts about how they can start communicating to who they're offering the service to, and actually listen, and then give them some real assistance and presence and awareness that they exist, we completely reversed all the sentiment about them within 6 months. It was huge. But it's exactly like you're saying for sales. It's like, are you talking about yourself and what you do, or are you talking about what you can do for those you're actually trying to serve? It could be that simple. Yeah.
I was in real estate, and one of the first lessons I had from my leader, he said, Daniel, people only care about one thing. And this was before, MP3 players. He said, they only care about one radio station, WIIFM. I said, what's WIIFM? He said, what's in it for me?
Yep.
And I went, oh, yeah. And he said, when you're having a conversation with the customer, they don't care about you. They like you. They're there because they're looking for what's in it for them. Can you make or save me money? Can you make or save me time? Can you improve 100%. My situation? Can you make my life easier? Can you do this faster? Can you make it cheaper? He said, just talk about what's in it for them. He said, just tune into WIIFM.
I love that.
And he was so right.
100%.
And I go to so many people's websites, and people come to me and they say, Daniel, I'm looking for a particular career. Can you have a look at this application and tell me if this is the right one for me? And I scroll through this job description, and the first 80% is about the company. It should be the other way around. It should be 80% about you and how your life's going to get better partnering with us in this business and all the wonderful things that you're going to be able to do, all the wonderful people that you're going to interact with, all the benefits for you and your family.
Yep.
And then 20% down the bottom about us.
The example I use is if someone's going to buy a drill at the hardware store, you could tell them how light it is, how long the battery lasts, what color it comes in, how many other attachments the battery works with, and blah, blah, blah. But people aren't there to buy a drill. They don't actually want a drill. They want a hole in their wall, or they want to be assembling furniture. That's what they're buying. They're not buying the drill. And if you're not asking them, what do you plan to be doing with this? You miss an opportunity to actually get them a tool that might be better. Maybe they just need a screwdriver and they could save, $50. Maybe they need, something completely different and they have no idea. But that always stayed present to me. Like they're not buying the drill, they're buying the hole.
I was told, Daniel, sell the sizzle, not the sausage.
There you go.
This is a 50-gram beef red sausage. I don't care. And to your point, I have anxiety attacks when I go to IKEA. And I say, there's nothing in here for me. I'm going to pay you, and then I've got to put it together. Well, fuck you and your flat packing. I want somebody to do it for me. I don't care how cheap it is. It's the inconvenience of having to do it. So I say to my wife, you can go there by yourself. You can put it together by yourself, but you won't get any of my help. There's nothing in it for me. And their bad sausages and their bad mashed potato, I don't care how cheap it is, it's still not for me.
And then someone saw that. Someone saw that in the market and they created a whole service where like, we'll assemble your IKEA furniture for however much dollars per unit. And they're doing great with it. And they just found that niche in the market. They found you and they're like, yep, we're going to go do this for you.
And that's the person I want to talk to. And then the person who says, Daniel, and we'll take away your old furniture for you. I'm not even caring about the price anymore.
Amazing.
Done.
Amazing.
In 2008, you mentioned early stages of e-commerce.
Yeah.
My brother and I, we founded a clothing company in the early 2000s. And we ended up having 50 shops across the country distributing our clothing.
Nice.
And one of the things that was really frustrating was that our product was a top seller, but we could only get limited shelf space. And we would have an ever-growing range that people wanted. And our customers used to say to us, we like your clothing, we like to shop locally, and we want to buy it from the local retailer, but they don't have a big enough range because we want to get all these 6 pairs of shorts, but we've got to go to 3 different shops. And we would take that feedback to the retailers and say, this person who you know, because very small community, wants to buy this full range of clothing, but you're only ordering a small part of the range.
Yeah.
So they have to go to 3 other shops. So they've got to drive about 100 kilometers to get the clothing they want. And they'd say, oh, we don't have the shelf space. We don't have the budget. And my brother and I would say, don't worry about the budget. We'll put it on consignment. Just give us more shelf space. And when you sell it, then pay us. And they said, well, that sounds good.
Now we found the shelf space all of a sudden.
They found the shelf space. So we would put it in there on consignment. They would sell it. They'd say, this is hot stuff. It's sold out immediately. And would say, perfect, let me send you the invoice. I'd say, don't send us an invoice yet. What do you mean? You've sold it. Well, yes, we sold it, but we used that to pay the invoices of the other companies. And would say, this makes no sense. We're the hot seller. You've sold out. You've used this money to pay for the product that's not selling. Is that what you've done? Yes. And we would shake our head every season and say, this is not right. And then we started to learn about e-commerce. And my brother and I said, let's start an e-commerce page. Let's sell our stuff online and let's offer everything in the marketplace. And those customers who were willing to shop locally, who would have bought locally, and that customer would have had a 50% markup, $50 pair of shorts, you get 100% markup, $50 pair of shorts, you make $25 on it immediately the day it drops. They wouldn't take more. So we started to sell online. Our profit margins were 100, 200, 300, 400%. People paid in advance. We shipped it out. We got the shipping rates down. There was no bad debt. And people would buy and buy and buy.
Yep.
And we had to ask ourselves the question, well, what's in it for us? We can do all this hard work, but there's this new way to sell.
Yeah.
And it revolutionized the way that we did business. We spent more time at the post office than we did at retail outlets.
Yep.
And that was unexpected as well.
E-commerce is huge. I mean, it's just, it's so funny, like birth of the internet, like don't put any private information there. Don't put your address or your, don't put a real screen name and definitely never put your credit card on there. Oh, God forbid. And they also told us don't get in cars with strangers. And now I'm putting my credit card on my phone to have a stranger come and pick me up. Like it's a whole new paradigm, like with what we're comfortable with. And so it's funny you say it, because my family was in brick and mortar retailer for a long time as well. And 96, 97, they were worried about the internet. Like it's going to destroy every store. There won't be stores anymore of any kind. And it's like, okay, maybe one day, calm down. And they were slow to adopt websites. They were slow to adopt e-commerce. They were slow to adopt a mobile friendly site. They were slow to adopt every other thing we told them to do, like video content, blah, blah, blah. And there was really interesting challenges at the time. Like once we got people able to get into e-commerce in a big way, and they loved the margins and things like that, and dealing with third-party logistics and all that, and email marketing and compliance, but creating back-end systems and ERPs that would allow people to return a product in store that they bought online, like that was this massive hurdle for the whole industry. And there was really interesting, cool things happening behind the scenes, and processing returns like never before, and people buying like 3 different sizes because they weren't sure. And how do we deal with that? How do we photograph this stuff, especially something like fast fashion, where the product turn is 4 weeks and there's new stuff all the time? Like that pipelining and that getting it on the website was massive. And now it's just like almost taken for granted. Now I can order some random product I never heard of, but someone recommended it and it's at my house overnight or later that day. I mean, where I am near New York City, if I make an Amazon order, depending what it is, I could have it in a couple hours. It's unreal. It's so fascinating. I'm excited for what comes next too.
One thing that blows my mind in 2026 is how a lot of business owners promote their product, their pricing and their packaging. And they tend to do it more about what's in it for them than what's in it for the customer. And I know for me, when I think like a consumer, if I go to a website and a product is $75 and the shipping's $25, in my logical brain, I cannot justify $25 shipping on a $75 product. I can't do it. It makes no sense. It's a third of the cost.
Yeah.
So I look at this and say, because of the $25 shipping, I just can't take the next step. And so I'll have an abandoned cart and I'll keep searching for a similar item, if not identical, and I'll find it and it will be $100 and the shipping's free. And immediately I'm buying it. It's $100 and the shipping's free. Because for me, the factor is the shipping.
Yep.
Now, somebody might say, Daniel, you're an idiot. It's the same price. In my logical mind, in my commercial brain, I cannot justify $25 shipping.
Yep.
But now you've given it to me for free.
Hmm.
That's a different story.
Oh yeah,
And
it's
people still
just
haven't got
like,
onto that.
yeah, if you spend this much, you're $3 away from getting free shipping.
Mm,
That would have, and the shipping's $7, and you only have to spend an extra three. So you buy a $15 item, and now all of a sudden you got your free shipping, but you spent more than you needed to. You know, nobody goes searching for a $3 item. They go searching for what else is in their wish list,
mm,
and they get that free shipping. It's
mm.
it's a huge, it's a huge um, opportunity to do more. And it really is deeply ingrained. It's the psychology behind why we buy and the shipping, and it's a whole world there. Gift cards.
Like a service fee at a restaurant.
Oh,
If
service
I see
fees.
the service, now I have to judge you
Yeah.
on your service quality, and you don't want me doing that. You're not going to hit my benchmark. I did 5-star silver service for the world's best airline, Emirates Airline,
Yeah.
at 40,000 feet in the aircraft on a $500 million aircraft. You don't want me judging. I was the leader. I held the
Yeah.
standards. You don't want me judging.
Yeah.
But if you put your $5 service fee there or your $10, you're going to cop it.
Yeah.
But if you just weave it into your pricing, don't put an
Yep.
extra thing on my bill, I'm
Yep.
not even going to question it.
Yep. 100%. This is the thing. Is these all these extra fees. It's insane. With concert ticketing was a big thing for this. Service fee, convenience fee, credit card fee. I mean, there's like so many, and there's no, there's no perceived value. There's just monopoly, and it's like this is what you have to deal with. And they say that
You're
the concert is,
forcing me. You're
yeah,
stealing from me.
it's extortion. It's
Mm,
it's yeah. It's like we got you. We've got the only thing. You're going to take it. Um, it is, yeah, it's really scary. Um, and and it's tricky depending on the product, like how much space it actually takes, how heavy is it for the value. That's a thing. There's perishable things, and that's a whole situation. I worked with a chocolate company, and they had to ship everything cold, and with all these ice packs, which they didn't get back. So not only are you paying to keep these ice packs cold, you're paying for packaging that can handle an ice pack. You're ensuring it's enough of an ice pack so that it shows up still cold, and then you never get the ice pack back. So you have to
mm,
keep buying all those. Um, this was a client who we were doing sentiment analysis for, and found out people hated the shipping costs, right? Only something like 15% negative conversation, but 90% of that 15% was about the shipping costs. And then we said, okay, well, let's try free shipping if you spend $100. Let's try bundling some different things. Let's try a subscription service where we know you're getting orders for the next 6 months, something like that. All these different things where they're getting more for that one cost. You pay shipping once for 6 months, and it's a whole different conversation.
mm,
Um, and they were getting so many more orders because people weren't abandoning their carts, that they could negotiate better shipping rates because they were shipping more.
mm.
And it's a win-win-win-win-win. There's no reason that everybody can't win in these situations. But I mean, if you don't even know that your customers are pissed off at your shipping costs, like, you're just running around blind and then hoping you can save a couple pennies somewhere or make some more revenue, but you're not even aware of why you're not making revenue. I mean, something like Emirates, I've flown Emirates, it's ridiculously amazing. And you know it, and you're listening to it, and you have that high standard. Luxury brands, it's kind of a luxury brand. Brands like that, uh, Ritz Carlton, Holland America Cruise Line. When you leave a feedback form for Holland America, if they don't get a perfect score, absolutely super satisfied, it's a failure. If they get 9.999, they failed. And that's the standard they hold themselves to. And they're committed to having themselves be amazing and having you have the most amazing time because they know what you're putting yourself into, how much it takes to take time off work, and how much you're spending for this. And it's supposed to be your vacation. So they're really interested in, like you said, like the experience of the customer. They're not trying to get better reviews so they could say they're better reviewed and then charge more. They're trying to get better reviews so that they are delivering on the promise of what you spent your $7,000 for a week on.
Mm.
And yeah, you'll get my money every time. Like, even if it is 9.5, like, I know you're working on it, and I know you're going to be pissed off about it, and I know you're going to try to make it right. And I can handle a 9.5. So
One thing our family hates is this introduction of QR codes at restaurants. And
yep,
if I go to a restaurant and somebody walks to the front to welcome me and then guides me to my table and then stands here and gives me a QR code, they get the instant death penalty. You are standing here, I could give you my order in the next 60 seconds because you don't go to a restaurant when you're not hungry. You only go when you're hungry and you don't want to wait now. You wanted to wait 30 minutes ago. Take my order. But now I've got to you want me to download your app?
yep,
I've got to get onto your thing. I can't read it in English. I've got to translate. It doesn't come out. The buttons don't work. And 10 to 15 minutes later, I have 2 children, a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old who are fighting and eating each other. And I still can't get this QR code to work. And I'm under the pressure because now I've got time constraints. I hate it. Every restaurant that does this to me, I refuse to go back. And I say to them, I know you're working here. I know you got a boss. Tell them, stop with the QR codes. I'm here. You're serving me. What's the difference? You could get this to your kitchen. You could turn this table over faster 15 minutes earlier. You could get another person sitting here in 15 minutes. You could make another sale. Oh, well, no, we do. Fuck you and your reasoning. I'm the customer. I don't want your QR code.
yeah.
I don't want to receive your text messages. I will come here because I'm hungry. Don't message me. Stop messaging me.
Stay off my phone.
Yeah. What are you going to text me about? It's like the lawnmower parts. I'm not getting a hard on over your lawnmower parts.
Yep.
I'm not going to jizz over your newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't be telling me anything interesting in that enough for me to pay attention. Yeah, I've seen that with restaurants too. And, you know, I first started seeing that during COVID where they weren't handing out physical things. I was like, okay, it's a workaround. Okay, that's fine. But at least I have cell signal. I've seen it since 6 years past COVID. And it's like, I don't have any good signal here even. Like, can you pull this up? Like, I don't feel like I'm not going to agree to the terms of use of your weird Wi-Fi ad network for me to just get your menu. And if your menu changes often enough that you need a digital menu, bring me an iPad menu, right? And that I'll use. Like, I'm for you not having to spend tons of money on paper to reprint your thing all the time, but then bring me a tablet. Like, I'll even survive with like a tablet on the table, but like, there's an airport near me. In one of the terminals, all the restaurants have tablets, and you order from there, and they just bring you the food. And I talked to them. I'm like, "What kind of tips do you get?" They're like, "It's crap, like because I'm not doing much," and they know it. Everyone's just a busboy. There's no customer service. There's nothing like that. Like, it's efficient and it's fast because they know people are trying to make their planes, so they're solving for that. Like, people need to eat quick and get up and get out. And that's the service, and it's hidden, but there's no restaurant experience, and people are kind of fine with it because their mind is actually on a million other things about their flight. Either they're sad, nervous, upset, or high on being on vacation, and they're loopy and they're not working well, and it's best to keep people away from them sometimes. So it's
interesting what you say there about an experience. I don't think we all want an experience all the time.
Good call. Yeah.
Like you're saying at the airport, what's important to me? Speed and ease. Yep. Get me in, get me out, get me to my plane. That's what I want. I don't need the Cheesecake Factory experience in this restaurant. That's not what I'm coming for.
Yep. Exactly.
In my business, I used to have live events in Sydney, and I'd put all the things in there that I thought were important. I'd put a scent diffuser in there. I would have this thing that took the electronic magnetic radiation out of the room. Cool. I would buy the UV printed banners that are inside. I'd get the premium linen, the premium pens. I'd get the best lunches, and not one person ever complimented me on the linen, on the pens, on the premium paper. Nobody mentioned it. And I got angry. was like a sentiment test on myself. I was angry, and I said to my wife, nobody complimented me about my UV printed 10,000 dots per square inch poster.
Yeah.
She said, what are you doing it for? And I said, for me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, the next time, instead of getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, filling the car up with all of this shit and going to the city, I'm just going to take me, and you can have a hotel piece of paper and a pen. And not one person ever complained.
Yeah.
The only complaint that I ever got had nothing to do with me. It just had to do with the hotel location. It was always, Daniel, the lifts are slow. If that's the most important thing for you, every training from now on is going to be on the ground floor. And that was what was important to my clients. We don't want to wait for the lift.
This is it. That's it.
And
Like
that
they
made my
wanted the
life
hole,
easy.
not the drill.
Yep.
That's it. And when you find that and you give it to them, they'll be, it's not even that they don't care about the other things, they're blind to it. There's
It's not
some
what they're coming
element
for.
where it's like if there's three and you're in direct competition with somebody else and like you can provide what the other one didn't, that's cool. If it's something that's people wanted, and that comes up in sentiment analysis, right? Like people said the other one is the other set of headphones is really heavy, and so, well, great, ours are actually legitimately lighter, and people are complaining about how heavy the competitor is. Our new marketing campaign is going to talk about how light they are. Like, easy. And you host this amazing event, and it's beautiful, it's fantastic, and someone goes to the next one and it's got lots more bells and whistles, and you get this beautiful laminated book and the tote bag and all these other things, but the content sucks. Can't make up for that. If that menu comes leather bound, hand lettered, and beautifully illustrated, but the food is terrible, who cares?
I think for people who have a product and a service,
Yeah,
there's a couple of key differences. Like you mentioned here, weight might be a factor. One of my mentors, he said to me, Daniel, he said, in a service business, the only difference is you. And just remember, they can go down the street, but they can't get you. He said,
yeah.
for your business, that's the most important thing.
100%.
And as a service business, I've come to accept that reality. And I look at my clients and they don't want community from me. They don't want that from me. I got a friend, he's got a business, they want community from him.
Cool.
That's what they want from him. I have to accept that reality. For what they want from me is this individualized, personalized consulting. They want Daniel privately, and they don't necessarily want to tell other people that Daniel's their secret weapon. They find me and go, I'd love to tell other people about you, but since I've worked with you, 500,000, a million, 2 million increase in sales, we want to keep you private.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But the other one will get all the social recognition and all the games, but that's what they want from him.
100%.
And we've got to also
It
accept
takes
that with what the customer wants.
and it takes a lot of pressure off for anybody who's you're doing consulting or the one-on-one service, even if your business is assembling IKEA furniture, right? Or if you're doing bottleneck mitigation for manufacturing and stuff like that, or if it's personal coaching, whatever it is, like, yes, you're buying me, you're getting me, and if you vibe better with the dude down the street, great, more power to you. Like, I don't have to take it personally anymore. This is like what works for you, not, it's not like you hate me. It's like there's a better fit. Congrats. More power to you. Fill your boots. Have the best time. And it makes it so much easier. I'm not chasing and hunting people down or trying to sell anybody. It's like, this is who I am. This is what you get. You're going to have my attention, my focus, my expertise, my awareness. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to do everything I say I'm going to do. I'm not going to do any of those things I said I'm not going to do. And if that shifts, we adjust. But if you want me hoping to get a different version of someone else, no, you're getting the version of me that's me. If you want them, go get them. Like, or, this is like, don't buy the $3 crappy product, buy the one that's going to last you for a while. Like, some of these products have great warranties because you will need them. And buy the one that is going to work. It costs more, but it's going to work for a long time. There's the difference between the $5, replacement computer charger and the Apple one. It's $85, but yeah, the technology that's in there is 1,000% better than what you're going to get on Temu. It just is.
Yep. Absolutely. Now, I'm sure there's people out there who would love some unexpected revenue in their business. Where can they start the journey with you? What's your website, or where should they go?
Best place for me is my very, very simple, basic website. The cobbler's kids have no shoes, but it gets the job done. It's aemstrategies.com, Alpha Echo Mary strategies.com, and one page and a link to send me an email, and we just start talking. And I've worked with, what I've learned and trying to nicheify like who it is, who I work with. It's like, it doesn't matter what the business is so much, because it's all about communication and authenticity. And that's what I work with. So, it's at least worth a conversation. We can see, because like we said, like, I'm happy to refer you to someone else if I think someone's a better fit for you. I love talking about where we can make a difference, and the ideas just pour from me probably too fast. Probably should sign a contract first, but I just can't help myself, and I love it. So I'm happy to just jam out with you, and let's see what happens. And if I think there's something that we can do together, I'm happy to help. Happy to do it, move the needle, and take on new exciting projects, and learn about you and your product, your service, your customers, their journey, your journey, how we can help bridge that gap. So yeah, AEM Strategies, that's me.
Aaron, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your wisdom. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure. Thank you for having this. I'm